Welcome to the In Shape Fitness Show. I'm Coach Kim. Thank you so much for joining me for today's podcast. And we are doing 6 holiday fitness tips today. This is a tough time of year for your body. You gotta face the facts. But I've got 6 tips along with a couple of moves for each that make sense for the busy schedule that you're going to keep during the holiday season and get you ready for the new year. Most people include the word stressful and busy when they talk about the holidays. They talk about their family time and spirituality and joy and presents, but the stress and the busyness sneak their way into conversations about this time of the year. Less often, hardworking adults refer to luxury and indulgence, despite the fact that we probably all like to have some luxury and indulgence in our lives. But for most people, that's just really not a part of life, except really around the holiday season, which is why it's so tricky for your body. Now, when we get to this time of the year, so Thanksgiving was a couple of weeks ago, and we're heading into, it's the middle of Hanukkah right now, and then we're going to head into the really heavy season where we have lots of Christmas celebrations, there's Kwanzaa celebrating, there's vacation time and maybe trips with the family, lots of big heavy meals, social functions at work where you're going to be, indulging a little bit, probably on extra sweets, possibly extra alcohol, probably not doing a lot of moving around, and you're certainly not necessarily hitting the gym and or your regular fitness regimen as often as you should have or could have. But interestingly enough, we do still have the opportunity to get the work done that we need to get done if we break the necessities into some parts. One of the things that you can do over these next few weeks is continue to use one day, and Monday is a great day to do this, although I normally do this podcast later in the week, and today it happens to be Friday. But Mondays or any one single day is a calibrator for the way you feel, the way you treat your body physically for your week. Our company has been in partnership with the group at Meatless Monday and the Monday campaign, so Move It Monday and Meatless Monday, which has become a day for millions of people to recommit themselves to sustainable nutrition, healthy eating, and it's good for the environment and it's good for your body. And learning a new element in exercise in Mondays, part of the Move It Monday campaign and the Monday Mile, is a great way just between now and the end of the year to help you stay focused on positive self-care through the holiday season. So you're going to hit the weekend. You might have a couple of parties. You might have, even just a sort of slow weekend with your family around, the movies or just hanging around the Christmas tree if you celebrate Christmas. All really great stuff. But again, if you use Mondays to help recommit yourself to what your schedule should be, use Mondays as a metric for your week. I call them metric Mondays, so you can measure something to help you stay attuned to how your body is feeling. Now, as I said at the beginning of the podcast, I've got 6 really important tips. That wasn't even one of them. So technically, I guess we've got 7 of them. But going back to the notion of how you tackle the various components of the holiday season, I've got 6 tips that relate to the different sort of parts, the moving parts of the way that your life might change in terms of this time of the year. This is a really big time of the year for people to go shopping. I hate shopping. I actually really enjoy walking around looking at holiday lights and just getting into the spirit, especially since I live in New York City and am able to do a lot of my, sort of moving around time on my feet or sometimes on a bicycle. But holiday shopping is a big deal. And what happens with holiday shopping relates to the first tip, which is called Shop But Don't Drop. It really starts right after Thanksgiving. You remember the whole concept of Black Friday which even with online shopping, most of us now are not doing the Black Friday thing quite as much. But even though we shop maybe from Amazon or Zappos or whatever the other sort of stores are, you're still maybe out, you're likely out for a period of time longer than 2 hours. Now, why does that matter? The 2-hour mark is interesting because it's around that time that you're going to start feeling some back pain, hip pain, maybe some knee discomfort. I feel it, particularly when I'm out working with multiple clients over a really long period of time during the day. You start to feel fatigue. And these subtle changes in your gait are what you're feeling. You might feel it in your knee, you might feel it in your back, but the reason for it has to do with the way that your body's movement patterns have to shift as parts of your body get tired. Now, what gets tired first? The smaller muscles. And the other part that you have to remember is that both sides of your body are not the same. So a lot of what I'm going to talk about today is adapted from InShape's general prioritization of 8 key functional components. And one of them, the one that relates to shop but don't drop, is pivoting, which is the strength of your right leg relative to the strength of your left leg. And if you're right-handed, which most people are, it means that your left leg, it might not be visibly different, but the small muscles in your left hip, the top of your IT band, the muscles in your left foot, those are the muscles that fatigue first. As a result, you're going to exert more effort on the stronger side, your right side. So that's why we call this theme pivoting. It's comprised of exercises that get you to work the legs independently of one another. So the 2 moves that I want you to try are called the Archer's Lunge and the Hungarian Split. And you can try them right now. In fact, if you're sitting down, you can stand up. They're safe and adaptable movements that you can do anywhere because you can hold on to something as you are moving the body. Be close to either the back of a chair or maybe a wall. The Archer's Lunge is where you're going to stand. It's not really a lunge, so don't worry about it. If you hear the word lunge and you freak out, you think you're going to end up with deep knee bends. We're not doing that at this point. You're going to stand with both feet facing forward, and you're going to keep your right leg stable. Now you're going to lift up the left foot, and then as you're rotating the left leg to the left, you're also going to turn your body 90 degrees to the left. You're going to plant the left foot about 2 feet away from your right foot. You point, you make it so that your left foot becomes perpendicular to the right foot. And then you bend the left knee slightly as you land, and then return to the standing position. So, if you've ever done archery, ever pulled a bow and arrow back, the pull of the stance with your feet is this perpendicular position, the relationship between the 2 feet. So do 10 of those on each side. You're not doing the upper body part of it, obviously, as the archer. You don't have a bow and arrow in your hand. But though that is a different topic whatsoever, that's a really great exercise. I love bow archery as exercise. So you lift up the left foot, turn the left body. Then when you're finished, you plant the left foot and keep it stable. You don't move it. Then you move the right leg. That's the Archer's Lunge. The next move, the second one, is called the Hungarian Split. And what you do with the Hungarian Split, this is with a chair or a bench, a high bench. You bend, you keep the right leg stable again. Bend the left leg, bend left knee. Place the left foot on the chair. The top of the foot goes down. All right, so the toes of your right foot face forward. The left foot is resting on the back of the chair or bench, and then you're going to slowly bend the right knee, lowering the body straight down. Don't bend forward. You want to keep the back straight. This is a little like a single leg squat. You want to stick your butt out because you don't want the right knee to go past the tips of your toes. And then you lift back up, and then repeat with the same number on the other side. So start with just 3 or 5 on each leg, and then work your way up. So again, shop but don't drop. You want to work the legs independently of one another. If you, by the way, go out shopping and you know you're going to be out for a couple of hours, do some exercises before you go out. A plank is really great. We're going to talk about planks in just a minute. and some hip bridges, some push-ups, some jumping jacks. Warm your body up before you go shopping so that you activate the blood supply, the capillary function of the small muscles in your body that will help mitigate the suffering you feel later on. All right. The second tip is called deck the halls. So decorating is another thing that we inevitably find ourselves doing. Something that I like a lot more than shopping. The two things about the holiday that sort of, find their way into your life, having to, pull those boxes down from the top shelves in our apartment in New York City and pull out the Christmas tree decorations is something we get excited about, but it is intense and it's heavy lifting. No matter how you celebrate this time of the year, you're probably going to find yourself with a box of decorations, wrapping materials. I actually just this morning had a conversation with a client who had some neck strain because she's been wrapping presents and bending over, reaching towards her hands, taping presents with wrapping paper. Reaching and pulling and holding and carrying, these are all core stability movements. Yes, your arms are involved, but what you really need is a strong trunk, which is why we always go back to planks. A plank a day for 1 minute is an excellent way to keep your core stable. I have talked incessantly over the years about the stability of your core and about how your ability to hold a plank for 60 seconds, if you're, over 55 or 60, go for 30 seconds to start. But even my 90-year-old client will hold a plank for 30 seconds with me. That's how important it is to maintain that level of stability into your senior years. Planks were not all that popular in fitness even 20 years ago, even 10 years ago. We just didn't do them all because we did other things with our lives rather than just simply sitting around in our chairs, moving from one chair to the next, and potentially even, the whole notion of some of our recreational fitness exercises really don't get deeply into the stability of the trunk unless you're focused on things like Pilates and in some ways some boot camp type work is heavily focused on core and midsection fitness. But being able to hold a plank is something that you really do need to do. And that core stability, all those layers of muscles, because the core is a functioning unit in terms of the layers of muscle and connective tissue, it means that teamwork that's engaged by holding the plank is going to foster the ability for your vital organs to function better, for the functional movement of your trunk to perform better, and thus the deck the halls actually maybe will take, will ensue without a lot of suffering and pain the day after. The next exercise is called frogging. It's like a tricep dip, but I do this a lot with our corporate fitness clients where you sit in a chair and then you walk your butt away from your seat and keep your hands on your seat. And you can do this now, again, if you're sitting down. It's because you bend your elbows and you lift up. But the key with this is not so much that we're trying to work the triceps. It's not a tricep dip in that way. What I want you to do is think about your haunches, your hips, because when your hip flexors extend out, if your feet are flat on the floor and your hip flexors are extended out when you're in this position, you're going to activate the back of the leg as well, the butt and the hamstring. And as you lower down and lift up, you get that interaction between the top of the body and the bottom of the body. That's why it is fostering trunk stability again. Now, if you want to do something a little fancier, you can also lift up one leg and do these exercises on one leg, going back to that pivoting sort of component to your exercise regimens. Okay, so that was shop but don't drop and deck the halls. Now we're into a little reality check with gravity, because the other thing about this time of the year is that you sit a lot. You sit a lot anyway, but having some additional level of focus on how much sitting you do, and we're going to talk about sitting again at the end, is a really positive way to think about the way that you spend your time when you're not in your office, the way that you spend your time with your family. But when you are still, it's still the beginning of the month of December, you are still probably working, and you're thinking about the way that you're going to be spending your time a little bit later in the month. So you can do this at work, where you are standing up and sitting back down. Squats are vital. And one of the things that you have to remember, this is hard because I'm going to ask you to think like a scientist in terms of your body. Think about the sort of omniscient control that you have, power you have over all of the trillions of cellular components, the cellular beings that exist in your body. Think of yourself as that sort of overseer of all of the activity that goes on, and the body's cellular response to little teeny tiny adjustments that your body makes in relationship to gravity is gravitational pull that affects your metabolism. That's positive and healthy and good for you. So standing up may not seem like a big deal, and sitting back down, it may not seem like a big deal, but if you do it over and over again, and you do it correctly, functionally correct, if your technique is good, you are squeezing your butt cheeks, you're pressing your heels into the floor, so you're not just using your quads, but rather using different parts of your body. That is all really, really good for you. So try 10 of those right now. All right. Now, humans, this is again dealing with the haunch, and humans don't really have to use that word all that often. Hind leg function. The haunches are sort of referred to things that relate to maybe four-legged animals, like big cats, pouncing, and maybe a kangaroo jumping or something. Humans don't have to spring up and jump into action all that often. But again, the relationship that your trunk has with your legs will help your body interact with gravity without those aches and pains. The second exercise with respect to gravity is an exercise that you'd have to do on the floor. Maybe you could do this with a desk, but push-ups also interact with gravity, just in a different way. We also use and refer to this exercise as a what we call PPHC, push, pull, hold, and carry. So the trunk stability exercise priorities. But the push-ups interact with gravity, and that is a really helpful way for you to boost your metabolism, lift your spirit, and keep your energy level high without the sweets and the other chemical factors that might get involved in the holiday workday. All right, so we're halfway through here. I want to do a little systems check in terms of your posture. If you are sitting still, make sure those ears and shoulders are lined up. Make sure that you're taking deep breaths as you enjoy the spirit of the holidays, with some reflection on how you're going to stay healthy during this holiday season. We're going to do something now which takes a total step back and allows you to think about the elongation of your spine, deep breaths, and de-stressing. We call this pre-detox because it's not until the 1st of January that people really start to think about what the body needs in terms of maybe detoxifying all that champagne that you had over the new year, or maybe all the sweets that you've been eating through the holiday period between Thanksgiving and the end of the year. But either way, your body is already feeling the effects now because of the cold weather, because of the later nights and the stress. You are dehydrated and probably dealing with some inflammation. I can feel it now. In fact, I've been sniffling through this podcast because as it's gotten colder in New York City and my stress level is lifting, I know that my immunity system is also on high alert to deal with the effects of this period of time in the year. Just all of it, the anxiety. Making matters so much more significant is the fact that it's coming up on the shortest day of the year, so we have less daylight. But the pre-detox focuses on diaphragmatic breathing, elongation, and flexibility. Again, things that you that can't be understated in terms of the effect that these issues, these simple adjustments that you can make in terms of the way you spend your day, how they can have at the cellular level, on active respiration and on the metabolism that fuels your energy source for the day. So the first of the two exercises that we put together for you, and one of them is called the seated hydra. And that's just a fancy name for sitting at your desk probably and moving your body around as you breathe really deeply. So loosely defined, all you're going to do here is stretch your arms in a couple of different ways while you kind of connect with deep breaths. So first you want to remember that you inhale through your nose, you smell the air around you, you exhale through your mouth, the bellow. You smell in, bellow out. Smell in, bellow out. And take a few warm-up breaths now. And a warm-up breath is 3 seconds, roughly, breathing in through your nose. And then 3 seconds breathing out. Now, grab your hands behind your back and continue those 3-second breaths. Inhaling for 3 seconds. Exhaling through your mouth for 3 seconds. Do a couple more of those. Inhaling for 3 seconds. And exhaling for 3 seconds. All right, now bring your palms together in front of your chest. Press your palms together so no air is getting through your palms. You're going to touch at your fingertips, zip up your fingers, zip up your palms. Now, change your breath just a little bit. Try to elongate through your shoulders and zip up your forearms, and then increase the length of your breath to about 4 seconds. Inhale for 4 seconds. Exhale for 4 seconds. So you're slowing your breath down a little bit as you're zipping up your forearms. If you can't touch your elbows in front of your chest, maybe if you have big boobs or just a bulky chest, don't worry about it. It's okay. Now I want you to lift your arms over your head. Keep those palms zipped up. Your elbows might have to bend a little bit, but that's okay. Keep breathing. Inhaling for 4 seconds and exhaling for 4 seconds. Now we're going to slightly twist at your waist so you can drop your hands. Put your hands on the seat to your left. Take your right hand, put it on your left knee, and turn your body to the left. 4-second inhales, 4-second exhales. Very good. Now slowly turn to the right, and let's repeat that on the right hand side. 4-second inhales and 4-second exhales. Now as you slowly turn back together and press your palms together one more time in front of your chest. Try to get the elbows together one more time. Just try to increase to a 5-second inhale and a 5-second exhale. The 3-4-5 breath pattern really helps detoxify and cleanse your lungs, increase the function through the diaphragm in terms of your diaphragmatic breathing and your rib cage, awakens your spirit, helps you identify with your body, connect with your physicality as you're sitting at your desk. Okay, the second exercise is called a dynamic dog. You should know this. I do this a lot all in our podcast. Almost everyone knows that I wake up every morning and I get in my living room floor and I perform the 5 Tibetans, or my version of the 5 Tibetans. The dynamic dog is one of those. So you start in downward facing dog. You can do this also at a desk if you need to, or a low stool. From downward facing dog, you transition to upward facing dog. And the dynamic dog part of it is the fluid movement between the two extreme positions, from downward dog to upward dog and back. And the Tibetan monks, I do it 21 times every single day. But however you want to do it, make sure that you're deeply inhaling and exhaling with each full repetition. Don't hold your breath as you're moving. Never hold your breath as you're moving, but inhale deeply through your nose and keep exhaling deeply through your breath, especially as you've done that breathing exercise. Now your breathing capacity should be fully firing on all cylinders, which is awesome. Okay, we've got 2 more to do, and I want to be finished in 10 minutes. So I want to move through these last 2 kind of together because they're kind of fun. One of them I call the flamingo with the family, because as you get closer to the end of the year, you are spending a lot of time with your friends and your family. And I notice a lot of people just sitting around the TV. I hate that. I think standing up with the family is a far more exciting thing to do, whether you're standing up, maybe playing some games, going outside for a walk together, or in this case, I'm going to have you stand up and do a couple of exercises. One of them is called the Lighthouse, which is, again, another exercise that I do in lots of our podcasts, because you stand with your feet altered heel to toe in a staggered position, and then your arms are out to your sides, and all you do is turn your head. Turn your head slowly to the right, then turn your head slowly to the left. That's the lighthouse, the light turning, your head turning. And you're discombobulating the equilibrium of your inner ear. And the reason that's helpful is because it's going to help you with the last exercise, which is called a spin top, or spinning top, which is to end the year joyfully, leaping into the new year and spinning around and skipping around with your family, dancing, just dancing. And to some music, whether it's holiday music or any music, but getting up off the floor, enjoying the time that you're spending away from your office, or even if you're spending it in your office, spending it on your feet, standing around, spinning around, having some fun, dancing, skipping around are really, really great ways to not only enjoy the fruits of your fitness labor all year long, but also to get you ready to start the new year with gusto. So I'm going to say goodbye to you from here. I will, of course, be back next week with another new episode of the In Shape Fitness Show. We'll talk more about holiday fitness next week. It'll be our last episode for the year next week. So we'll talk more also about New Year's resolutions and how to set them with intelligence and practicality. And if you have any questions, please get in touch with my team at bodybyinshape.com. The contact page is available for you at any time. I will see you again soon. Have a great holiday if I don't.